Greetings from Thailand. My respect to Venerable Sangha, to my host, and to Ajahn Pharani and my friends. I am happy to be sharing with you through this special program. After more than 20 years, Ajahn Pharani contacted me if I could share my understanding on Paticcasamupada, dependent originations. So here I am. I take you back a little bit when the time of the Mahabodhisattva, when he left the palace, he had three quests in his mind. That is, how to be free from the suffering of old age, sickness, and death. And after 6 years of wandering around, testing out with different teachers, he came to one understanding that to be on the extreme of self-mortification is not an answer, did not bring him wisdom, did not bring him the right path to understanding, until after 6 years he was enlightened. And this enlightenment, his enlightenment, is actually discovering of what he went out in search of. That is, how to be free from old age, sickness, and death. So his discovery is very interesting. And he shared his discovery the very first time when he started preaching about his discovery was to the 5 ascetics. And the very first teaching he gave us was the Four Noble Truths. So we look in this Four Noble Truths. The first one is dukkha, suffering. The second one is samudaya, cause of suffering. The third one is nirodha, end of suffering. And the last one is marga, the path to end suffering. Paticcasamupada, or dependent origination, that we are focusing today is in samudaya, the second one, and also will be in the third one, as I will be sharing with you later. So now we look at Paticcasamupada. The circle of Paticcasamupada, it is a circle of 12 links of dependent origination which causes suffering. The first one is avijja. Avijja is ignorance. Ignorance about what? Not knowing about what. It's very interesting that I will eventually will be touching on. The second one is sankhara, composition. Third one, the third link is vijnana, consciousness. The fourth link is nama rupa, name and form. The fifth one is salayatana. Salayatana I explain very simply as doors. The 6 doors of eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, this touch, and the mind. And what we perceive through them, that is the object that we see through the eyes, we hear through the ears, smell through the tongues, smell through the nose, and taste through our tongue, and touch on our body, and mental perception through the mind. Then we have phassa. Phassa is contact. The next one is vedana, feelings. Next one, 8, is tanha. Tanha is desiring. Number 9 is upadana. Upadana is clinging, really holding on to the object, wanting it to be very strong, desiring. And then bhava, becoming. Jati, birth. And the last one, old age and death. And then start another cycle of, again, avijja, not knowing, like that. So this is the 12 links of dependent origination. People say that you can actually break the circle at any point, but as I have understood through studying again for this particular presentation, I realized that no, we really have to, there is only one point that we have to break and cannot be at any other link, as I will be sharing with you later. So So now I go into details of the first one, avidya, ignorance or not knowing. Avidya, not knowing the true nature of phenomena, that is, not knowing the true nature of our own self, not knowing the true nature of things. The three characteristics that we need to know, that all things fall under these three characteristics, namely anicca, dukkha and anatta. Impermanence, it cannot stay, and there is no real self. There is no real self as such, because avidya is not knowing the truth. So we hold on to the self, to this self as real, as permanent, and it can stay forever, it seems. The word dukkha, which sometimes we translate as suffering, it also, when we talk about the condition, it is that condition which we cannot retain. Just to give you an example, that I come into this hall meeting you, I feel comfortable now, I'm okay now, but if I have to sit here for 3 hours, for example, no, I cannot be in this position for 3 hours. I need to go to toilet. That is what it means, that cannot stay. This condition cannot remain, cannot stay. Then we go to the second one, also to repeat that this avidya, this not knowing the true nature of things, is actually the real cause of everything. As we do the chanting, we say, avijja paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vinyanang. Because of this avidya, because we do not know the true nature of things, that's why it leads to another one. It is the cause leading to the second one, and the second one itself, as a result, itself is also a cause leading to the next one in this loop of 12 links of dependent origination. It depends on each other. And while number 2 depends on number 1, number 3 still depends on number 1, number 4 still depends on number 1. Very interesting. The second one is sankhara. Sankhara is mental composition. Oh, I need to remind you that in this loop of 12 links of dependent origination, we are talking about the mind, not the body, about the mind. So this sankhara, this mental composition, it is caused by the first one, by not knowing the true nature of things. So therefore, whatever we understand, whatever we think is distorted. Then number 2, sankhara, leads to vijnana. Vijnana is consciousness. Number 4, nama rupa. Nama rupa is often misunderstood and explained in a way that it does not allow us to understand Paticcasamupada as it should be. Sometimes it is name and form. Nama is name, like my name now, my ordained name is Dhammananda, and my form is this person sitting here, and we call this person Dhammananda, like this, But it is not mind and body. Sometimes it is explained as mind and body. No, it is not the body. Here, all these 12 links is all mental link in chitta, the word mind. Then the fifth one is salayatana. Salayatana I explain as the doors, sensual doors. So we have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and chit, and the mind. These are the doors to receive perception. Perception comes through each door: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and that which the mind perceives. Very interesting. The sight cannot come through the nose. The sight must come through the eyes only. So this particular door is open for this particular object, sensual objects that comes through the doors. It has to be the proper door that it is linked. But now this salayatana, by itself, when it comes to the next one, is contact. When I see things, I look at you, I do not see you, unless there's another one. Vijnana, that consciousness must be there also. So it is not just simply me, my eye here, and you as object of my perception here. I must have vijnana present also. So it is not only number 4 is causing number 5, it is also number 2 that is causing number 5, like that, So this circle of 12 links of dependent origination, it feeds each other. Not only this immediate one, 4 to 5, but also 2 to 5, 1 to 5, like that. Then we have, we talk about phassa, this contact of the eyes seeing the object, contact. And we must have that vijnana consciousness, so that I know, I see what. Otherwise, I just see my eye just looking straight at you, but I don't see you. That happens in our life often. And then the 7th one is Vedana. Vedana is feelings. Feeling could be like, dislike, or neither. In order for us to have these feelings, there is subject. There is that subject, that I, that self, present itself in this feeling. Otherwise, I wouldn't know whether I like it or not. I like or I dislike what I see. So that number 1, self, which is distorted from the first one, from avijja, because it is distorted because I believe that I is permanent, whereas the true nature of things, I itself is not permanent. Then the 8th one is tanha. Tanha is desiring when I see this object. Just to give you a very, very simple observation, like I look at a cup. I see this cup. I like this cup. And now I desire, I wish it's mine. I wish this cup is mine. Then it leads to very, very interesting thing. Number 9 is very, that which really cause suffering. 9 is upadana. Upadana is clinging, that it must be mine. This I, me, my, mine, that started from the first one, avijja, not knowing the self, holding on to the self as real. That works very strongly here, that unless I own this object, I suffer. But even if I don't own the object, if I don't get what I want, I suffer. But if I do get what I want, I also suffer. Because actually this allows us to be immediately, whether you cling on to it, you get it or you don't get it, it already allows you to be in this cyclical being. The next one, number 10, is bhava. Bhava is becoming with deep-rooted I, the ego. The first one really takes form. Number 11, then of course it leads to Chati. Chati is birth and old age and death. That completes the circle. And then old age and death leads to further avijja, make another round. Now, there are 2 ways of understanding this. Buddhaghosa seems to have explained that it needs the past life, present life, and future life in order to see this cycle of dependent origination. But Venerable Buddhadasa is, I met him this is contemporary. Venerable Buddhadasa pointed out that Venerable Buddhaghosa actually explained from his, he had Brahmanistic background, so he explained this Paticcasamupada in the Brahmanistic way of understanding it. So in fact, we are talking about this cyclical 12 links of dependent origination, which which brings about suffering. So every time when there is that upadana, clinging on to I, me, my mind, wanting it as mine, it already allows us to have this becoming and birth in that particular suffering, in that particular suffering. So in fact, one day you can have this cyclical of 12 links of dependent origination many times. This cycle of dukkha can arise many times as soon as we go on clinging to I, me, my mind, because I, me, my mind to begin with is no real self in the beginning. It is caused by avidya, number one in our links, 12 links of dependent origination. So therefore, this cycle, it is like you push on the button and the light comes. The light that comes on is the light of suffering. So every time when it is completed, the light of suffering appears. So each day that we go on, when you have this like or dislike, holding on, when holding on to I, me, my mind expresses itself, that is, we complete the circle of these 12 links of dependent origination. So, and then I need to take you back to the Four Noble Truths. You have dukkha, samudaya, nirodha, and makkha. These 12 links of dependent origination, this paticcasamupada, it is in samudaya, cause of suffering, because we talk about these 12 links of dependent origination which causes suffering. So, when we do the chanting, we have this avijja pattaya sankhara, sankhara pattaya vinyanang. That cycle is causing suffering. But at the same time, the same cycle, the same circle, now you reverse it. Now we have avijja yatveva nirodha, nirodha sankhara nirodho. Reverse. When you reverse, it is ending of suffering. So when you move like this, move according to avijja, then of course you get dukkha. You have cause of suffering. This is in samudaya, cause of suffering. But when you reverse the circle, starting from understanding, it is not avijja, now it is vijja. You understand the true nature of things. Therefore, you reverse the cycle. When you reverse the cycle, then it is nirodha, that is end of suffering. So paticcasamupada appears in both samudaya, cause of suffering, arising of dukkha, and it appears also in nirodha, that is end of suffering. So this paticcasamupada in nirodha would be end of suffering. Yes, you understand this? So this, I think this is a very interesting to understand paticcasamupada, to understand this 12 links of dependent origination which causes suffering. It is also, on the reverse side, you have this 12 links of dependent origination which causes end of suffering. This is very beautiful. One time the Buddha actually had a conversation with Venerable Ananda, and Venerable Ananda said that it is easy to understand paticcasamupada, but the Buddha said, Ananda, paticcasamupada is complicated, intricate, and unless you understand paticcasamupada, you understand the 12 links of dependent origination, or the reverse of dependent of origination, actually you can be enlightened. So to understand paticcasamupada is actually very strong confirmation from the Buddha, is to understand, to be able to be enlightened. So my presentation is not complete. It is still lacking here, lacking there, but I have tried in these past few days that I have accepted invitation. I'm thankful to Ajahn Purani because it allows me to really look at paticcasamupada again and to have a better understanding of it. Yet all of us, we need to study paticcasamupada and we need to put it into practice so that we understand each step of paticcasamupada and more important, that we are able to remove that avijja, the first link. As soon as we can remove the first link, then we can destroy this, or we can end this, these 12 links of dependent origination which causes suffering. Thank you so much.